Hey guys, this is Camfrey15, R. Cameron Winfrey, joined by my co-host Matt Swarmstead. And we are here to give our MLB 2022-2023 season predictions. So you'll get our thoughts on who could be winning the division for each of the divisions. We're not gonna go into like, oh, the who can make the wild. Well, I guess we can discuss teams that potentially could make the wild card. And obviously, we'll give our World Series, I guess, teams that we think that could end up in the World Series. And yeah, but that's pretty much all we're gonna do from there. Now spring training has obviously already started, and essentially the reason why we're also making this video because the season's like starting like the regular season is like starting in like 2 weeks, but after Trevor Story going to the Boston Red Sox, that was kind of the last like big domino to fall for free agents and stuff like that. So I don't think there's gonna be any other moves. Like the only other prominent name I know out there is Johnny Cueto's still out there on the market. But that's kind of it. But um it's up to you what conference we're gonna discuss or what league, American League or National League first.
We can start with the National League, and then because we both have teams in the AL, we can end with the AL.
Okie dokie. So obviously, we're gonna start with the National League, and the NL East is obviously hailed by the defending champions, the Atlanta Braves. We're to do a quick rundown of the NL East in terms of their last season of how they did. The Braves last season they were 88 and 73. And they were a pretty good team last year. They didn't do so well. Ronald Acuna Jr. got hurt last year, and it looked like their season was going to be a wash, but then they ended up trading for Jock Peterson. And yeah, that's when they just took off and they got on a winning streak, got into the playoffs, and they absolutely won it all and took advantage of that entire opportunity. Some of their more prominent, well, the most prominent decision they've made I've seen this offseason was getting Matt Olson, trading Matt Olson to go to get him on the team. He's from Atlanta. I think he's going to do really well, especially from the standpoint as an Angels fan, that guy would just rake against us. I think he's going to be good for them. Now, Freddie Freeman, his camp is saying, oh, he thought he got done dirty. Personally, I think the Braves just went in the direction of, well, we wanted to get younger at the first base position. We felt like we didn't need to pay Freddie Freeman, who's like 32 years of age, the money he wants. Because by the time he gets to maybe 35, that's when he'll probably start, getting out of that once dominant player he used to be. So they decided, hey, let's get younger. Let's get a very talented first baseman to pair him alongside Ozzie Albies and Ronald Acuna Jr. I think honestly the Braves, they're going to be a problem again in the NL East. I think they can definitely win the division again. They got a lot of talented players. Like I said, they still got Travis DeArnold. They got Matt Olson, who's added to them, Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, Arcia, Swanson, Rosario, which they resigned. They lost Jorge Soler. If he was still on this team, you could probably put him as like the DH of this team, and he'd be still good. Ronald Acuna Jr. is still here, coming off his injury. Adam Duvall. It's going to be very freaking interesting to see what this team does. And in terms of their, starters and their pitching, they still got Charlie Morton, Max Fried, Anderson, and a few other different guys. They added Kenley Jansen a few days ago to their bullpen. I definitely do think, they're going to be pretty good contenders in the NL East. But that's just me. I don't know much about the Braves, but I think they have what it takes to defend their crown. So yeah, but your thoughts on the Braves?
Oh, I think the Braves are. I 100% think the Braves are going to win that division, but I think that it's tough because I feel like the Mets, they're sitting there, and I feel like they spend money all the time, and then Yeah, the Phillies, who I think aren't bad, and then just the low-life Nationals and the Marlins, who I don't think are going to be any competition. But I do think that the Phillies and Mets can sneak into the wild card, and maybe you see two teams from the NL East coming into the wild card. But I do think the Phillies and Mets are going to be sleepers. But I do think the Braves do take that division.
Yeah. Do you think Ronald Acuna Jr. is going to have a little bit of a slump coming off his injury? And then your thoughts on the Matt Olson news to the Braves?
I mean, Matt Olson's going to help, but I feel like the Ronald Acuna Jr. could hurt them more than Matt Olson might help them, if that makes sense. Because he is coming off an injury, and I don't know. I feel like baseball you play every day, so like it's hard to kind of recover from an injury during a season if he tweaks it again, and so that could be tough. But again, I do think the Braves are going to win the division. So
yeah, definitely could be up there. Now they were first place last year. Because we remember entire last year the Mets kind of ran the NL East, and then they kind of teetered off at the tail end. And the Braves came up and won the division. The next team in the NL East is the Philadelphia Phillies. And they finished second in the division last year. They had the record last year of 82-80. The Phillies are a very interesting team for me just because they have a lot of potential. But you look at the past history, I think they haven't made the playoffs for like the past 7 years.
It's been quite a bit, I feel like, since the Ryan Howard era.
Yeah, and especially, me as an Angels fan with the fact that we got Mike Trout, which is the best player in baseball. Angels still have not made the playoffs since 2014. It's kind of the same thing with the Phillies. They got Bryce Harper thinking, oh, we're going to get to the playoffs and everything, and they haven't even sniffed a playoff in Bryce Harper's run as a Philadelphia Philly. Now, obviously, the one big thing I keep hearing out of Philadelphia from what I watch on the MLB Network is one of the kind of issues is, they have the offense, their defense, and their pitching isn't, as good. Heck, I even saw one game last year where they had a self-implosion. But, again, like I said, they still got a solid lineup. JT Realmuto, who's a great catcher, Rhys Hoskins, John Segura. They still got Didi Gregorius, Alex Bohm, Bryce Harper. They added Kyle Schwarber, which was an interesting decision there. And, like I said, their pitching – it's all right. They got Zach Wheeler, Nola, Suarez, Gibson, Eflin. Their bullpen, they added Jesus Familia. They could definitely be a sleeper team in the NL East. It's just going to have to come to what they do and, if their defense is going to be improved and if they can win games when they need to win games.
Yeah, I mean, it said right here that their defense is the worst in baseball. I'm reading this, and it says they also added Nick Castellanos, so I think that's big. But
Nick Castellanos. I totally forgot about that guy.
And Kyle Schwarber, so I think that's like you were talking about. They added him, so I think that could be big. But I do think it's going to come down to again their defense and their rotation. I don't think that their offense is really a problem for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Moving on. You can arguably say this team might be the favorite to win the division. Honestly, if things don't happen really bad and they don't have any slumps, I definitely can see it. And honestly, I have the Mets winning the NL East just from the pure firepower they have on the team. But you'll see now. The Mets, like I said earlier, they were actually like really good throughout most of last season. And then after the All-Star break, they kind of hit a slump and they just fell and they kept losing games and they fell all the way to third place when they should have probably won the NL East last year. Obviously, Stephen Cohen wasn't very happy about that. And what does he do about it? He damn near spends all his damn money to get the best talent possible to have the Mets literally win the division. And listen, even though I hate the way the Dodgers do that stuff because I think they're already, talent superstar team, I do respect what the Mets do because their owner's like, I want to freaking win and I don't care how much money I'm going to pay. If I get over the tax, then fine, screw it. I want to win.
Rotation's going to be great.
The Mets last year, they finished 77 and 85 and they finished under 500. So obviously they're going to look to get over 500 and potentially win the division. Really, their only big significant loss was Noah Syndergaard leaving to go to the Angels. But even then, you can just even we'll talk about it with the Angels. It's like he has to stay healthy for him to contribute. But like I said, they've signed a lot of good players. After they got Lindor last season, they got Starling Marte, who's a great hitter, Mark Canha. Robinson Cano is still on the team. They added Max Scherzer, which is one of the best pitchers in the game. They added another pitcher, Chris Bassett from the Oakland A's in a trade. They got Taijuan Walker, Carlos Carrasco, and Jacob deGrom. And again, this team should win the division. This is a team that should win the NL East. It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen. I definitely do believe, Max Scherzer, it's going to be okay. Jason deGrom, when healthy, he's the number one, and Max Scherzer is a good number two, for them. Which, Jesus, that's already devastating. If you get Jacob deGrom first, and then the next game in a series, especially if it's the playoffs, you got to face Max Scherzer. Mets could potentially be up 2-0 in a series. But like I said, that's barring if Jacob deGrom is healthy, because last year he was always in the lineup and then out of it, in, out, in, out. If Jacob deGrom's definitely healthy, they can definitely win the division. I think if he's always on that on and off hurt, they can stumble a bit. Although they do have the rotation that can handle one of their best players being out of the rotation. Because they got a pretty solid rotation. I'm envious of that rotation. And just adding Chris Bassett, he was a solid pitcher last year for the A's. He isn't ace, he isn't like ace material, but he's pretty good. Mets, I think they got a pretty good team, and I'm gonna be very interested to see what they do. I'm definitely, gonna see if I can catch a lot of Mets games this year.
Yeah, they also added Eduardo Escobar too, so it's another big pickup they had for them.
Yeah.
But I do think the Mets are a very solid team, and like you said, their rotation is, God, that's gonna be a killer rotation. But I do still think that the Braves have more firepower, and I do think that the Braves are going to win the division. But I think the Phillies and Mets both are two solid teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Next up is the Miami Marlins. They finished in 4th place in their division at 67-95. Obviously, kind of the biggest news coming out of them. Well, as of late, Jorge Soler actually signed with them on a 3-year deal. Jared Jeter, he also left, but he kind of left the Marlins in a place where it's like the Marlins can actually get better and take the next step. They do have a pretty promising team in terms of young talent there. And it's kind of just about the development there. Their pitching staff is actually pretty solid looking at it. They got Sandy Alcantara. I know they traded for Jesus Luzardo, who, people say he could potentially be really freaking good. Sixto Sanchez, I think, is in their minor leagues, but he's like close to getting called up, and apparently he's really freaking good. They got a lot of, decent, like Jesus Aguilar, he's a decent first baseman. Jacob Stallings, who they traded from the Pirates, he's a pretty good catcher. Rojas, Miami, honestly could be maybe a sleeper team in the NL East, maybe catch people by surprise. Yeah, just the talent alone or the potential they can have could be really good. It's gonna be very interesting to see what Miami does this year. But I could see them either being 4th place or 3rd place again. But who's to say that, within the year or two, this team could potentially be trying to make a run at the NL East title.
Yeah, I don't see the Marlins really competing, like you said, this year. The only thing I disagree with that, I don't see them really having a chance to compete in a while. They do have the pitching staff, but their lineup is just so terrible that it's going to be tough. I don't know much about their farm system, and maybe they got some really good prospects, but I don't see the Marlins doing well for a while. And then Derek Jeter leaving them, I think that just I don't think he leaves them unless he sees a future with that. And I think that he doesn't see any future. So
yeah. Again, we don't know much about these MLB teams. I've heard from watching their videos, the Miami Marlins are a promising team with very good talent on there. It's just they got to win games, but we'll see what happens with Miami. Definitely, if they get good, it can definitely be a very good destination for free agents to go to because Miami, Florida, and stuff like that. So, yeah. And then the last team, the NL East, is the Washington Nationals. They finished the season last year 65-97, and I'm going to be honest, I don't think they're going to do much of anything this year either. If anything, they might just finish 4th or 5th again. I didn't really see, going over just their depth chart. The only big name I've seen that added was probably freaking Nelson Cruz, who is like playing at a high level in his 40s, which is still insane till this day. But really, it's just like I don't know. They got Josh Bell, who's still a pretty good first baseman. It's just the Nationals. They're in that range. They're in like that team where it's like they're not it's weird with me. They're not really there yet, and they still have Juan Soto there. I don't know if he resigned yet.
Yeah, he did. I feel bad for him. One of the greatest hitters in baseball, and he's stuck with that.
So yeah, I don't really think much of anything. Maybe the Nationals shock us. But if anything, the highest I would give them if they have a surprising year is probably just 3rd place in the division. But
yeah, I think it's that. I think I still think some Braves at 1, and I think it's going to be. I'd say the Braves at 1, probably Mets and Phillies can be interchangeable 2 and 3, and then at 4 or 5 can be the Marlins or the Nationals.
Yeah. So that's it for the NL East. We're gonna move on to the NL Central. So the NL Central, the division winner last year was the Milwaukee Brewers. And they ended up having a record of 95 wins and 67 losses. They finished first. Going just over some of just truly their depth chart and everything. It's kind of really the same team, to be honest. They added Hunter Renfroe from the Red Sox to put in their right field, and Andrew McCutchen as well. But it's pretty much kind of the same team from last year. So really, in terms of the NL Central, the division's going to probably be a battle between the Brewers and the Cardinals, to be honest. So, honestly, that's kind of where I think it's going to lie. I don't know what, in terms of the Brewers, I think they have what it takes to win the division again. We'll just see what happens. But that's kind of all I got to say for the Brewers.
Yeah, I mean, they have Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff in their rotation. So, I mean, that's like kind of not as good as the Mets, but another good thing for them. So I think that I don't really know much about the NL Central, honestly. I don't really get to see a lot of those games, but from what I know, I think the Brewers are a pretty good team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The second team in the division was the Cardinals, who had 90 wins and 72 losses. They finished second. And again, it's kind of a team that really only has some of the same, just like this, the same kind of pieces there to work with. And it's gonna be very interesting to see what the Cardinals do. Like, I have a feeling like it's just NL Central is going to be between the Cardinals and the Brewers. Also, another thing is, Yadier Molina is going to be going into his last season with the Cardinals. So obviously that's going to be something to watch for. And I'm guessing we'll just try to catch as many Cardinals games as we can, just obviously for a really great catcher in his final year. But They definitely have, the talent to freaking win the NL Central. It's gonna be a very interesting battle, for the NL Central title for between the Brewers and the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean the Cardinals also added Steven Matz to their rotation, more of
Mhm.
a depth guy in their rotation, but still I think that's going to be good at the back end of their rotation, which could help them. But yeah, the Cardinals I think it's going to be definitely just a two main race between these two. But I'm excited. I think both of these teams are pretty good teams. So
Yeah. The next team that finished third place in the division, which I don't think is going to finish third place in the division unless they shock me, was the Cincinnati Reds. They finished last place and third place, with 83 wins and 79 losses. And honestly, I don't even have to look at their roster. Their roster wasn't gutted. The only person I think that's still there is Mustakis, I believe. Um, but other than that, it seems like they could probably move off and trade some of these people by the trade deadline. Sonny Gray, he was dealt to the Twins. They were even shipping Luis Castillo trades. I was hoping my Angels did it, but they never pulled the plug. They let Nicholas Castellanos walk. It seems like to me they're just gonna probably just blow it up and maybe be in a rebuild type of thing. Um, don't know what's gonna happen there, but okay. I definitely could see the Reds this year, maybe potentially fighting for that third place or fourth place spot again. But we'll see what they're going to do. I don't know what they're doing over there in Cincinnati. They just trading people away.
yeah, I mean they shopped their starting pitchers. I'm pretty sure they shopped every single one. I don't know what was going on. It seemed like they're just shopping them, maybe just to trim payroll or something. But I have them in the ignore category for this year.
Yeah. Going on next up, it's my dad's favorite team, and that was the Chicago Cubs.
Cubbies.
They had a record of 71 and 91, and obviously, if the one biggest storyline that came out of last year was the fact that the Cubs essentially gutted their roster from the standpoint they got rid of the three guys that well won them their World Series, the first World Series in 108 years, and stuff like that. But it's a new era in the Cubs. They made a good trade. I know they have the Nick Madrigal, the former White Sox shortstop, who was pretty good for them, for the White Sox when he played for them. They added the newest Japanese sensation star in the league, I guess next to Otani, is Seiya Suzuki, and made him like the highest paid Japanese player to come into the league.
One of the Red Sox will sign him.
I think the Cubs are going to be a nice little up and coming team to watch. They made some moves. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do. I definitely could see them competing for, again, either third or fourth place in the NL Central. They got Swindell, who I didn't catch a lot, but I know Swindell went on like a tear where he was hitting like home run after home run after home run. Wilson Contreras, he's still there, but he's in the last year of his contract, and he's probably going to be traded by the trade deadline, and that will truly be it of anybody from the 2016-2017 Cubs team that won the World Series, other than I guess their manager David Ross. They added Andrelton Simmons, who at shortstop can give them a good defensive presence. They still have Patrick Wisdom at third base with Jonathan Villar there. Ian Happ is still there, so I guess that's somebody else that's still from that team. Jason Hayward's still there, and obviously they got Suzuki. But I think that's going to be a nice up and coming team to watch. We'll see how the Cubs do. I'll definitely check some of those Cubs games out, and stuff like that. So yeah, your thoughts on the Cubs?
Yeah, I agree with you. Maybe third or fourth place there. But excuse me, I'm gonna be excited to watch some of the games just to see Suzuki. I want to see how he plays. So I'm excited. I'm definitely gonna try to catch a few Cubs games.
Yeah. Then obviously the last team in this division is the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they finished last year 61 and 101. They're probably going to be the same team they've been the last couple of years. Again, I think it's just them building up their farm system because they got a lot of crazy good prospects, and then when they're ready to call them up, they hope that the prospects pay off and they end up becoming a solid good team like they used to be probably a decade ago. But really, there's nothing really else to talk about the Pittsburgh Pirates. Like, they're probably gonna be fifth. If they surprise me, then they surprise me. Fine. I still remember that one time when they literally let Javi Baez get loose. So yeah, gonna be interesting. And the fact that sometimes maybe we have to catch a Pittsburgh Pirates game, well then I guess we'll have to see. So that's my thoughts on Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head there. I guess. Hopefully they can get maybe less than 100 losses this year. I guess if you're a Pittsburgh fan.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the last division in the National League, and that is the NL West. This NL West is going to be very interesting. Well, it's in my opinion, it's either going to be, again between the Giants and the Dodgers, or maybe the Dodgers just running away with the division. So let's start with the first team that won the division last year, and that was the Giants. They won the division only to get into the wild card and get bounced by the rival Dodgers. So, yeah, they finished last season 107-55. And when I tell you, they did add some pretty dang good players. They added Jock Peterson, a former Dodger. So, it's going to be interesting to see how Dodger fans react to Jock Peterson. I remember making my free agency update video, and I have a feeling, I wonder if Dodger fans are going to boo Jock Peterson since now he's a player for the Giants. All right, he's going to be the first Giants in the team's history, first Giants player in the team history to actually get cheered by Dodger fans. Going to be very interesting to see that.
I don't know about if he will.
Yeah, they still have a solid rotation. They added Carlos Rendon, and they added Alex Cobb, who was very underrated last year for the Angels. And Carlos Rodon, again, he was a very solid pitcher for the White Sox too. The only thing is, he couldn't stay healthy. But it's gonna be very freaking interesting to see what the Giants do. I think they added enough, and they still have the same amount of core players they had from last year's team to potentially make a run at winning the Central or winning the West again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the Giants winning it, but I do have them in second.
Mm-hmm.
I have the Dodgers winning it, and the Dodgers added Freddie Freeman. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I feel like the Dodgers just keep adding more and more and more people, and the MLB needs to have a salary cap.
Yeah,
it's honestly ridiculous. I don't see a reason for them to not win 115 plus games.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
sorry, I get a little frustrated with them.
You're good. I definitely understand. I definitely do agree there needs to be a salary cap in baseball. It would make more parity in the league, where maybe some teams that are doing abnormally good because they have all this crazy top end talent, you might have to cut some of that fat because you can't pay them. But why they didn't discuss that in the lockout, no idea. But no, we'll see. But going on to the next team, the Dodgers. I will not be shocked if they win the division. Honestly, I can see them winning the division again. They just have they got Clayton Kershaw back on a nice little deal. Even though they lost Corey Seager, they replaced it, I guess you can say, with Freddie Freeman coming there. Even though, in my opinion, I don't think they never needed Freddie Freeman to begin with. They still already have a super team, because you'll look at that entire team. They got Mookie Betts, they got Max Muncy, Justin Turner, Trey Turner. Yes, they traded for him, and they still got him. Cody Bellinger, even though he struggled last year. Austin Barnes. What else can I say about this Dodger team? They have dang near a super team already, but they should win the division. They should, but who knows? We'll see what's going to happen next year. Again, Freddie Freeman going there will help them a lot more. It just gives them a more devastating bat in the lineup to where this becomes probably one of the most dangerous lineups to pitch against. So you have to be very careful with how you pitch these teams because it's like, oh, you walk Mookie Betts, then you got to face Freddie Freeman up next. So, it's kind of just like a whole type of thing. It's like, well, you better hope your ace got his stuff. Otherwise, you might get rocked really good. So, yeah. Moving on was the third place team, an up-and-coming team that kind of was a disappointment last year, and that was the San Diego Padres, and they actually even finished under 500. I know at the start of the year they were winning the division, but then the Giants and the Dodgers just came up out of nowhere and beat these guys to the punch. They finished the year 79-83, and listen, they're probably going to start off probably bad because if you didn't know, good old Fernando Tatis did the dumb thing that young players typically do. Got himself in a motorcycle accident, hurt his wrist, and he has to get like surgery on it. And he's going to be gone for quite a long time. So I actually feel that is going to hurt them in the long run or early on in the season. Because just from this,
definitely gonna hurt them.
Yeah. Honestly, if you ask me, this is gonna be a very big season for the Padres because they have an up and coming. They obviously have a star in Fernando Tatis Jr. and they have a solid team, built around him. The only question is they're gonna have to beat teams in their own division, like the Giants and the Dodgers, especially. The Padres Dodgers battles were really good last year, just from all the crap talking and everything. Like that one game that went into extra innings, pure insanity, and stuff like that. But the Padres are that up and coming team. Yeah, they're good, but they haven't really done anything other than that shortened season playoff they did. And then after that, they had really, you're thinking, oh, they're going to be a team to watch out for in the NL West. And they didn't do anything. They didn't even make the playoffs last year. They got to definitely do better. Now, Bob Melvin, who's a really good manager, he made a pretty solid Athletics team be even a lot better. So Bob Melvin is a pretty good manager. And him coming over to San Diego can definitely help them. We'll just see what he does over there. We'll see how the Padres do. But honestly, I have them in the same place as they were before, which was third place, because mostly Fernando Tatis is going to be gone for a substantial amount of time. And they're going to probably be behind the 8 ball. And then the next important thing is the one thing I saw last year, because I did pay attention a lot to the Padres last year because my Angels were irrelevant last year other than Ohtani, was the fact that they lost a lot of games that they should have won. Like they lost games to the Arizona Diamondbacks a lot and the Rockies. They can't do that. They got to beat those teams. I'm not saying they should sweep them every time, but maybe, yeah, you lose one game in the series, fine. But every time I turned around, I saw the score. They lost to Arizona. I'm like, why does Arizona have San Diego's number? And that's kind of truly what hurt them too last year. So that's my thoughts on the Padres.
Yeah, it says here that Tatis might be back by July. So like losing him that first 3 months is going to be huge.
Yeah.
But I agree with you that Bob Melvin, he is a great manager. Like he's great with the in-game management. He's going to keep those personalities like in check there if they need to be in check. And like as with the young talent, like a lot of personalities and high egos and stuff like that. But I feel like last year the Padres were probably one of the most, if not the most disappointing team when it came to the end of the season, at least. But I agree with you here. Probably third place finish again for them.
Yeah,
I was really high on them last year, and they're a team that I really do like. But I don't know after last year and then Tatis being gone for the first 2 months. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna hurt them. You could potentially say they got maybe a little bit overhyped just because Tatis made the cover of the show this past year, but we'll see. Going on next, the Colorado Rockies. They were fourth place in the division. I think they're gonna more than likely stay there. They were 74-87 last year. They lose Trevor Story to the Red Sox because he walks. But they added Chris Bryant there, which still to this day freaking makes me scratch my head. And then I
Yeah,
even
that
looked.
surprised everyone. I think that was really, really head scratching there.
Yeah, and then I even looked. Apparently, they're even paying him a lot more than when they paid Trevor Story, which is like, what are you guys doing? I thought you guys were rebuilding or something. But I said in my free agency video about that, I think Chris Bryant, he truly just went there for the money to get paid because the Cubs weren't willing to pay him for all the years he was in Chicago. The Giants didn't feel like they needed him because they already have a solid enough team. So what was the one team? I guess the one reason to keep butts in seats in Colorado? Well, hey, let's go get Chris Bryant. Again, I'm going to refute this point. I think Chris Bryant only signed with the Colorado Rockies for the money. He already has a ring that essentially is immortalized. You win a ring with an organization that hasn't won a chip in 180 years, you can honestly just be like, I'll take my one ring and I'll go play for probably the worst team in baseball and I'll be fine with it. As long as I'm getting my money, I'm good. I personally think that's why he made that decision.
I agree.
So I guess I can't fault him. You won your chip. Go get your money. Set yourself up and you and your family up for life. When you live in Colorado, it's not a bad state to live in, and you play for the Rockies. But in terms of the Rockies as a whole, I feel like they have some solid players. Like Tapia is a pretty solid player too. They re-signed Ryan McMahon to a big-time contract. Again, it's kind of just this team that, I don't know how their farm system is, and I don't just know just the other talent they have, but, maybe 5-6 years, maybe they'll end up being good. But again, it's probably gonna be the same song and dance. I got them finishing 4th place again, unless they shock me and get to 3rd place.
Yeah, I mean, granted, because I have them in 4th place, but it's not going to be a 5th place finish or a 3rd place finish for them. I mean, it could be a 5th place, but I say I agree with you 4th. I agree with you again with the whole Chris Bryant. That's a huge head scratcher, but I think it's the money. It's all about the money at that point, like you said.
Yeah. So yeah. And then obviously moving on to the last team in the division is the Arizona Diamondbacks. They were just as bad, if not worse, than the Pittsburgh Pirates. 52 and 110 losses. Yeah, they had more losses and less wins than the Pirates. So they were the worst team in baseball. Well, let me look it over in the American League. Oh no. Them and the Orioles were actually the worst team in baseball. They had legitimately the same record. They're kind of just like, they got some solid players there. They do. It's just they're kind of the team that's just, let's build up our farm system and have the players be good. So when they're getting called up, we can hopefully be relevant, I guess you can say. But it's be very hard for them to be relevant when the fact that you got the Giants, the Dodgers, and even including the Padres in the same freaking division. But we'll see what the Diamondbacks do, but I don't think it's going to be much of anything. It's going to probably be a repeat of last year.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks, they are in full rebuild mode.
Yeah. So, let's get on to, obviously, the American League. And we're going to start off with the American League East. Now, the division leaders of the team is the Tampa Bay Rays, who I still think is going to be a very tough team to beat and play. Although they did lose in the wild card round or was it the divisional round or the wild card round?
I can think. I'll check real quick. I think it was divisional.
Yeah, I think it was the divisional round to the Red Sox. I know the Red Sox.
You're right, it was the divisional round to us.
Yeah. They finished last season 100 with 100 wins and 62. Listen, the Rays got a lot of good talent on their team. They were definitely that shocker team when they just came up out of nowhere, and they're just really good. Just with the way they play baseball. They're definitely gonna be a tough team to beat in that division and everything. I definitely could see them either finishing first or second, probably more than likely first with the way they play and how good they are offensively. It's gonna be very interesting to see what's gonna happen with the Rays do. They got Wander Franco, who's gonna come play his first full year, and he's a really good player. He was a really good prospect. It's gonna be very interesting to see what they're going to do. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Rays. Definitely a team where it's like they could potentially be the best team in the AL.
Yeah, this AL East is going to be another division that is just completely stacked. I think Franco's definitely going to help the Rays out this year, and it's tough because I have a biased opinion and I try not to. But with I still have the Red Sox finishing first and Yankees 2, and I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go Blue Jays 3 and Rays 4.
Really?
Yes, I mean, and it's just a tough division. So
Very interesting. They also did add Corey Kluber to their rotation as well. He's not the Corey Kluber of old, but he can still pitch pretty well. So it's gonna be very interesting to see what's going to happen for the Rays. The second place team in the AL East was the Yankees. Now, their biggest acquisition was getting rid of Gio Urshela and Gary Sanchez for Josh Donaldson, who still is a pretty good player. Now, the only thing I'm hearing is freaking Aaron Judge isn't happy, especially after the Trevor Story news. I'm going to the Red Sox, mostly because, well, a star, he's like, we need to be winning now. We should not be doing anything, doing nothing. They still got Joey Gallo. They resigned Anthony Rizzo. Again, the Yankees are the team where, okay, they have the offense. I don't know how their pitching rotation stands. It's still not what it should be. And this is the team where I don't see them winning the AL East. They could be second or third place, maybe fourth place team. But the only reason why I'm not giving them fourth place is because they have a solid lineup that can keep them in ball games.
well, I'm just reading this thing and it says that I don't understand because MLB games are played outside, but I guess that these players, if they are unvaccinated, need to follow the same rule that Kyrie Irving does, and they will not be able to play in New York or Toronto.
I did not know that.
And it says here, I'm reading this right now, it says Yankees are missing multiple stars at home because of restrictions on unvaccinated workers.
Oh, so that's also going to affect the Mets. We should have brought that up. Well, we don't know anything about the Mets.
I was just reading this here, so.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that news. Yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see how that happens. That changes a lot of things. That means players on the Yankees, they have to, I don't care whatever thoughts they have, they got to go get vaccinated if they want to go even think about playing baseball and helping.
So that might change my standing projections too.
Damn, honestly, shit. Dang. Honestly, with that news, I don't know where to put them. They're kind of like on the bubble then.
They might be. I think I'm going to put them in 4.
Yeah, that changes a lot. Damn. Okay. Yeah, those Yankee players might want to go get vaccinated before the season gets started in April. They got a few weeks. It doesn't hurt. Get your 2 shots in Florida and just deal with it.
Mm-hmm. At this point, because the Yankees need everyone they can.
Yep. So yeah, but your thoughts on the Yankees other than that news?
They have the offense. I feel like they have bats. You know what I mean? And I think they have the rotation honestly too. It's gonna all come together for them.
Yeah.
I feel like I've said this about the Yankees for multiple years now. And
yeah.
they haven't been to. I mean, when's the last time they made a World Series?
Sometime past decade in 2008, I believe.
Yeah, so it's been a long time.
Yeah, and then obviously, Yankee fans do not like their manager Aaron Boone. They think he's a bumbling idiot.
Yeah, I hate Aaron Boone too.
We'll see what they do. We'll also have to keep an eye on that vaccination status for them because I don't think baseball is the type of sport where you can do that Kyrie Irving BS. Certain games pretty much matter in the grand scheme of things in baseball, especially later in the year when you have to make that push to get to the playoffs. So we'll see what that's going on. The Yankees and the Red Sox are going on the Red Sox. The Yankees and the Red Sox, they had the same record from last year. It's just I believe the Yankees beat them one game to have the higher ranking in the standings. But the Red Sox, they're again another talented team now. I think Chris Sale's going to be out to start the season off for quite a bit.
Yes, he is. Yes.
So that definitely could hurt them in the rotation standpoint. I know the one thing they did have was a pitching problem. But just like the Yankees, they do have a really good offense. And again, like I said, they added Trevor Story, who's a really good defensive player. And again, in my Trevor Story video, I made the mention the only thing questionable about Trevor Story on offense is the fact that you can look at his offensive splits and they're very weirded out because when he was with the Rockies, when he was home at Coors Field, he had a higher percentage or had a higher batting average. He went away from Coors Field, his batting average was not crazily down, but it was down. And I said in that video, you have to wonder, being in a new venue, a new stadium, is he gonna have those same offensive type of splits and stuff like that? We'll definitely see. I think Trevor Story is definitely gonna help them in the future, more than anything. And like I said, if he's not feeling good, he could potentially opt out of that 4th year and go test his limits in free agency again. So yeah, but they got Rafael Devers, Xander Bogaerts, JD Martinez, although he's starting to get up there in age, he's still solid. Go on, you can talk about your Red Sox.
No, I'm excited. I'm more than excited about the Trevor Story signing. He's going to be playing second base. Bogarts will be playing short.
Oh, they already confirmed that?
I've been reading multiple reports, and that's what it's saying. And that's what I would do personally, too. The only question I have is our first baseman. I'm not that big on Bolly Dahlbuck. There is a guy, and I can't forget his name, and it really is frustrating me because I've been trying to think of this the whole video, and I haven't thought of it. And he is a first baseman in our farm system, and he's not going to be called up the opening day, not a chance. But if we can get him called up by maybe mid-July, that would be huge for us. That's the one major concern. And obviously, pitching's a concern, but with Sale coming back later in the year, I think that will be fine. And I think that our offense is just so explosive that we are going to score so many runs out. With Sale being out, it really will. Not that Sale's not going to matter, but it won't matter as much.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the Red Sox winning the division.
Yeah. I personally see the Red Sox potentially being – I want to give them winning the division. I could see them being a second place or third place team again, but again, another team that can get into the playoffs. We'll see what is going to happen in Boston. They're definitely going to be competing, and they're definitely going to be there. And they're going to still be a problem because they're a pretty resilient team, and stuff like that. And again, Alex Cora is a good manager for them. So
the first baseman's name is Tristan Cass. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's his name. And Casas. Sorry. 22 years old.
Definitely could get called up mid-season. Typically, mid-season is typically the time where big name prospects get called up. That's when Wander Franco got called up.
He's our number one prospect right now. So
yeah, well, we definitely have to keep an eye on that. So it's gonna be very interesting to see. But
I'm so excited about the Red Sox this year. I'm just excited about baseball being back.
The next team on the list is the Toronto Blue Jays, and mind you, when we say this division was that tough, 4 of the 5 teams in this division all finished over 500. So it's literally a thing. And then 2, if you thought the Yankees and the Red Sox in terms of their their position in terms of where they were on the standings last year, the Blue Jays had 1 less win and 1 less loss compared to both those teams. They finished last season 91 wins and 71 losses.
Talk about a tight division.
Yeah. Honestly, this could be out of all the divisions, this might be the best division in all of baseball if you kick out the Orioles.
The Orioles definitely water it down.
Yeah. But they got Vlad Guerrero Jr., who damn near already hitting home runs in spring training. That dude is a monster. It's insane. They got a solid team around them. They added Matt Chapman in a trade, who's a pretty good third baseman for them.
He's the best defensive player in the game.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
it's gonna be, it's gonna be really interesting to see what the Blue Jays do. They're definitely one of those teams where it's like you just like to watch them. And again, they got George Springer on the team. They could potentially be a problem. They see, this is why I don't know who can win the division. Personally, I have the Rays winning this division, but this division is gonna be tough.
Yeah, they lost Robbie Ray, but they added Kevin Gossman and forgive me if I'm pronouncing this wrong. UC Kukichi, two pitchers.
Yeah, you see Kikuchi.
Kikuchi, yes. So they, like I said, losing Robbie Ray will be big, but they gained two back. So kind of equals out there. So this division is going to be awesome, and my team being in it, scary but also awesome, and I can't wait to watch these games.
Yep. And then obviously the last place team in the division is going to be the Orioles. They're just kind of, rebuilding. That's all I can say.
Yeah, they've been rebuilding for quite a bit since Chris Davis, and best of luck to them. Camden Yards is a cool ballpark to play at. So, not that I've ever played there, but I just have drove by before.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I don't think the Orioles going to make any big time moves, but who knows? They could shock people. What am I saying? They're going to be.
They're not shocking anyone.
Until they actually put a quality team and they actually start winning games and shocking people, I guess you can say, that's when maybe we need to put them on notice a bit. But other than that, all the other AL West teams will probably smack them with utter ease. So, yeah. Going on to the AL Central. So the division leader in that team was the Chicago White Sox. They finished last year 93-69. I think they pretty much still have the same core that they have. They added Kelly to their bullpen, which is he's a solid player. He's a solid rotation piece out for them, which means the rotation is going to be pretty dang good. Like I said, they have the same core. Really, I personally believe this division probably going to go down between them and the Twins. With the additions the Twins made. But I can definitely see the White Sox winning the division again. I think they're going to be a very interesting team to watch. And I think they're going to be solid.
Yeah, I think that they're going to win the division again. They lost Carlos Rodon, but they got Michael Kopech.
Michael Kopech, yeah.
Louis Robert on them is a big dark horse. I think MVP candidate, honestly. Jose Barrera is consistent, and I think the White Sox have an all-around pretty consistent lineup and rotation, 1 through 9 and 1 through 5 in the rotation. So
yeah,
with a solid bullpen too. So I had the White Sox win the division as well.
Yep. Going on, next up is the Cleveland Guardians. And when I tell you, after the White Sox, the remaining teams in the division last year were all under 500, and it wasn't even close. The Cardinals, the Guardians, who now are not the Indians anymore, finished with their record 80-82 last year. They look like they're blowing up that entire team from what I've been hearing. So I would not be shocked to see Jose Ramirez be shocked by the trade deadline. It seems like they're not going to do anything. They're just going to blow it up because they let guys walk away, and because they traded away Eddie Rosario, who was on the team for them last year. So we'll see what the Guardians do. I don't think it's going to be anything. The only biggest thing coming out of that team is the name change.
Yeah, it just says here that payroll is one big thing for keeping the Guardians from putting up a fight.
Yeah, so, and
Jose Ramirez definitely could be gone.
Yeah, I also heard the Guardians have a very cheap management structure, and they don't like to pay their players a lot. So,
that could definitely go towards that.
Yeah, the Detroit Tigers, they finished third. They could potentially they'll probably be in the third spot again. They finished last season 77-85. I don't know much about Detroit, but the biggest thing I saw to them was that they signed Javier Baez to go over there. But they still got some solid players. They got Robbie Grossman still there, Candelario still there, Akil Baddoo, Miguel Cabrera. even though he's aged, he's, all right still. They got a solid, bullpen. In terms of their rotation, it's all right, but it's nothing to, be like, oh, let's take this serious. But they could be a shocking team to watch for and everything. So, we'll see what the Detroit Tigers do, but I don't really hear much about what Detroit's going to do. But I think they could still be a solid team, a team that potentially could make a wild card push.
Yeah, when I'm doing the research for this video earlier, I was reading about the Tigers. It was saying that they have a very, very, very bright future in their farm system, and that like not this year but next year it's going to come into fruition, and like they are a actual quote unquote like World Series contender in the future because of how good the farm system is.
Okay.
So that could be something to look forward to.
Good for them. Good for them, because they used to be good a decade ago, and then they just fell off the face of the planet.
Yeah, I was watching a video about them a decade ago with Miguel Cabrera and Prince Fielder, and what they have Verlander on that team.
Yep.
Yeah, they were stacked.
So, I can see the Tigers potentially being a third place team again. But I think I'll definitely have to watch some Tigers games, because I know they do got some pretty solid players on their team. And stuff like that. So yeah. Next up is the Kansas City Royals. They probably will be in fourth place again. They had a record of 74 and 88 again last year. The Royals, they kind of just fallen off the face of the earth since they won their title those years ago. But they're just kind of just using their farm system to rebuild and just deal with. They got some promising players on their team, like Kyler Singler, who pitched today against the Angels. Kyle Isabel is on the team. But truly, they're kind of just in that phase where they're just rebuilding and stuff like that. They still got Perez, they got Carlos Santana, Mondesi, Benintendi, Merrifield's still there, Dozier, they added Zach Greinke. He's returning back to Kansas City. Maybe they could shock some people. Maybe they could push for that third place. But I don't think really the Kansas City Royals are going to do anything.
Yeah, it says here that basically 2022, sorry, going back to my research, it says that it's basically all about Bobby Witt Jr. and MJ Melendez for them, I think, developing them and just watching them grow for the Royals.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and then the team that finished last in the division that I don't think might finish last in the division, they could actually be a threat to the White Sox this year, is the Minnesota Twins. Last year they finished 73 and 89, and if you went into this or after last season, you're like, okay, they might be like rebuilding for good. But no, they were let's just say they were getting ready to reload and talk about a way to retool within a year. They added Carlos Correa. The only thing is they better hope they like do really well this year, because Carlos Correa has an opt-out after this upcoming season. So if he wants to test his, self in the market again, and he feels like, oh, I had a great season away from the Astros, to prove to teams like, no, it wasn't just because the Astros thing that, I was good. I can be good on a different team, because honestly, Carlos Correa was looking for more money, and he might opt out after next season if he plays really good, and maybe a team will give him the money he was looking for this offseason. They got a solid, lineup. They got Max Kepler, Miguel Sano, who's pretty good, Byron Buxton, albeit if he can stay healthy, that's a huge, big player for them. And obviously you're adding Carlos Correa there to that team. The Twins are definitely the team that if I'm the White Sox, you need to watch out for those guys because they can easily come up and win the division. And then too, they got a solid rotation.
They added Sonny Gray.
Yep.
So, I mean, that team is going to be a legit threat to the White Sox, and that's going to be another cool division race to watch come September.
Mm-hmm. And I know, last year, Josh Donaldson's not on the team anymore, but there was legitimate, like, almost fights breaking out last year between the White Sox and the Twins in the games they were.
Yeah, and I like that. I feel like that's back in the MLB, kind of.
Yeah. So this is gonna be those Twins. I might have to catch the Twins White Sox games because
yeah, those are gonna be some fun games.
They were getting intense. Like
it gets hot in the middle of July and they're getting sick of each other. That's the best.
Yeah. So it's gonna be very interesting to see what's gonna be going on in that matchup. But yes, we're gonna get into the last division, and that is the AL West. The team that I see them probably gonna win the division again is the Houston Astros. They finished last season 95-67. And they're just again still the same solid team with just some of the same core members there on the team. Even though they lost Carlos Correa, they still have a solid around team that can still do good. They still got Altuve and Bregman. They got Brantley, Kyle Tucker, Jordan Alvarez. They still got a solid, starting rotation. Verlander's coming back. Lance McCullers Jr. is good. The back half, isn't as solid as their first two, but again, their lineup can just, bail them out of anything. I forgot they added somebody else. I think he used to be a former Tigers player, but no, Nico Goodrum. He was added to their team. Mm-hmm. The Astros, I still think they're going to be a problem in the division. They're still going to probably more than likely win the division, but we'll definitely see how the Astros do in the event now that Carlos Correa is gone from the team. Maybe that actually might hurt them a lot more than I'm thinking, but I still think majority of the core is between Altuve, Bregman, and again Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, and Gurriel. They should still win the division. And again, they're a favorite to win the entire AL as a whole.
Yeah, kind of just building off what you said. They kept their core intact. Losing Correa might hurt them, but keeping their core intact was, I think, the main thing they wanted to do, and they did that. So I still think that for Astros, it's kind of like an AL pennant or bust type of thing.
Yeah. The next team, which was a shocking up-and-coming team last year that tried to make a push for the playoffs, but they missed it, and that is the Seattle Mariners. They finished last year in second place, 90 wins and 72 losses. They're definitely a team to watch out for. They got a pretty solid rotation. They added Jesse Winkler from the Cincinnati Reds to come help out on their offense side of the ball. So I guess you could say it's kind of a replacement for Kyle Seager, who retired. But they have just a solid team, and it's their up and coming young players are good, like Evan White. He's a good first baseman. They got Kyle Lewis out there in center field. It's going to be very interesting to see what the Seattle. I won't be shocked if they end up trying to compete for a wild card and actually being second place in AL West. As much as that pains me to see, they're actually a pretty solid team. They actually built their team up through the farm system, and now they're starting to call these guys up to get ready to play at the MLB level.
Yeah, I mean Jared Kelenic, I think his name is. He's gonna need to make some strides, but he's gonna be big. This guy named Julio Rodriguez. He won't be up immediately, but he's gonna be another big guy for them. And they also signed Eugenio Suarez, so I think that could help them out. But their rotation's still kind of mediocre.
Mm-hmm. Who's in the rotation again?
Well, they added Winker and Suarez, but if I go to the Mariners rotation here, it says so they got Marco Gonzalez, Chris Flexen, Tyler Anderson, Yushi Kukichi.
Oh, Kikuchi's gone.
So then Logan Gilbert.
Okay. I guess they're gonna have to round to the rotation, but they probably got guys already filling in for them by this time. I think Seattle's gonna be a team to watch for. They could shock some people the AL West, but we'll see what the Mariners do. Going on next is the Oakland Athletics, who I believe will be the worst team in that in this division. They should be fifth place, but last year they finished in third with a winning record of 86 wins and 76 losses. They're trading away most of their guys. They traded away Bassett, Chapman, and Olsen already. They've been looking to trade Frankie Montas and Sean Manera somewhere as well. So far, nobody's taken them. That could probably happen at the trade deadline. And stuff like that. They did get a haul of prospects for Matt Olson and stuff like that. But we'll see how the Oakland Athletics do. I don't think they're going to be any good next year. And then two, the biggest loss they had was probably Bob Melvin leaving them. That was the reason why they were so good. And I don't think Oakland's going to be as good as they once were. But we'll see how they do.
No, them trading away those three players, if that doesn't show to anyone that they are in a full rebuild mode, then I don't know what else they can do, but they are in a full rebuild mode.
Yeah, and any other remnants of their team,
last in the division this year.
Yeah, any other remnants of their team, they'll probably, at least from the slightest, just trade them off by the deadline.
Yeah, they're gonna try to just dump everyone.
Yeah. So yeah. Next team is my favorite team, and that is the Angels of Anaheim, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
But here we go.
Yes. They finished last year 77-85, fourth place in the division. Again, not making anything. And I'm just gonna be honest. The highest ceiling I see this team making is third place. If not, they're gonna be back in fourth place again. And I'm just being a rational Angels fan. Same thing. Okay, that's good. Ohtani, he's coming off his great MVP season. I think he's going to be great again. Mike Trout's coming off his injury, where he was out all of last season. So that's definitely going to help the Angels at bat. Hopefully, Anthony Rendon stays healthy, because he'll definitely help them with the emergence too of Brandon Marsh and Joe Adell, who were two of the top prospects in the Angels organization, now essentially being called up on their team. Obviously, one of these players are going to have to sit just from the standpoint. Justin Upton's out on the outfield, but they did say he was playing some first base. So, that could be a thing where they can, that's the whole thing Joe Maddon has to work out. Jared Walsh at first base, really good first baseman. Had 38 home runs last year. Very underrated player. Definitely needs to get more talk about. I was glad he made the All-Star game last year. They still have a shortstop issue because it's like between David Fletcher, Tyler Wade, and for some other guy, I forgot the other dude's name. But that's kind of where their infield is kind of weird. That's why they're trying to go after Story and Carlos Correa. Max Stassi, a great catcher. I love Max Stassi. And then stupidly they re-signed Kurt Suzuki, who sucks. I hope Austin Romine beats him out and kicks Suzuki off the team. But in terms of the problem with their pitching rotation, now I'll say this. They drastically improved their bullpen. They added Ryan Tepera, Archie Bradley to their rotation, and essentially all the people who I used to call members of the bullpen are out of there, and they got a pretty damn solid bullpen. And then they re-signed their closer, Raisel Iglesias, who was just one of the best closers in the game last year. My only question mark with the team is their starting rotation. Now, Ohtani, he's a lock. He's their ace. They got Noah Syndergaard. He can be their dude as well, if healthy, because he's had injury problems. Had Michael Lorenzen. He all right, but I don't think he's anything special, although he did look pretty good in his first start in spring training, but it's spring training. I care about the regular season. And then you go to the 4 and 5 and 6 starters. Yes, the Angels have a 6-man rotation because of the Ohtani element, to just give him another day of rest for his arm. But the remaining guys on the rotation, I just don't believe in. And I think that's not what I just think, unless these pitchers go deep into games and they give the Angels a good chance to win them, where they're limiting runs and they can go deep into games, and then the bullpen can come in and shut these guys down, and the offense can do enough to win the games. I think the Angels can at least get to third place. I'm being generous if they can get second place. All I care about is them just making the playoffs. That's all I ask for. But I won't be shocked if I see them at fourth place again. I won't be shocked. So,
yeah. I was just going to kind of let you take that one over there. They definitely have the talent, I think, to be a playoff team, make a run, but I just think it's going to just honestly come down to how many IL stints they have this year.
Yep. Staying healthy, and then they got to win the games that they need to win.
So I know from you that they don't like to stay healthy. So,
yeah. Because we have to have the worst training staff in the league, but we got a new one, so hopefully that means good things. So yeah. The next team, which was the last team in the division, was the Texas Rangers, who I can definitely see them being the third place team in the AL West. They already have a solid team. They added Corey Seager, Marcus Simeon, who is a known angel killer, fudge. Aroldis Garcia, he's pretty damn good. He's an up and coming young player. Nick Solak is good. They have honestly, Texas Rangers have a pretty solid team. I don't know in terms of their pitching rotation, but they're definitely going to be really freaking good. I think they're going to be a sleeper team. They definitely can have. They definitely can win. They definitely can be third place. They got John Gray, Dane Dunning, Hearn Perret. They got a solid team. They honestly have a solid team.
I think you see kind of with them in Oakland, they're going the exact opposite ways. They spent a lot, this offseason. Oakland didn't. So I think Texas is another scary team in that division. This is also not a bad division.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I think some of these teams are starting to get tired of Houston dominating this division for the past, few years. So we'll definitely see what's going on there. But the last thing before we get out of here is we already made our predictions all who could be the division winners. In terms of who could end up in the World Series, or let's just start with the league playoffs. Who I could potentially see in the ALCS is honestly probably, it's probably for me. I think the two best teams in the AL is between the Astros and the Rays from what we saw the last, couple of years, especially for the Rays. I think they're going to be the AL in the ALCS, but again, I guess you can say another team that could potentially get in the way of that is one of the teams from the AL East. One of those teams, whether it's the Yankees, Red Sox, or Blue Jays, just from the standpoint they have that talent.
No, I agree with you. I think it's going to be AL. Mine is it's Astros, Red Sox, just like last year, but I think it's going to be Astros versus an AL East team, to be honest with you. But if I had to pick right now, I pick the Red Sox. Yeah. But like you said, I think it could be one of those four other than the Orioles.
Yeah. And in terms of the NLCS, I think the favorite we can say by far, it should be Dodgers Mets. It should be Dodgers Mets with just the way the rosters look. But I definitely could see it to where the Braves could get in the way of that. Maybe the Giants could also get in the way of that as well. We'll just have to see. I don't think the Brewers and the Cardinals are that good. I think they'll both make the playoffs, but I don't think they're that good on the levels as any of the teams we just mentioned. So it's going to be definitely interesting. And in terms of my World Series prediction, for the National League, my National League favorite, I got to go with the Mets. I just think they have the talent necessary to beat them, and that just starts with just the pitching department they got. I think because that's the number one thing in the playoffs. If you got the pitching, and they can give you good innings, you can get all the way to the World Series. And I think their lineup is pretty solid as well. So my National League team to get to the World Series is the Mets, and then for the AL, I know I'm kind of saying it all over again, but honestly, I think I'm gonna have to go with the Rays to get back to the World Series again.
We have the exact opposite. I'm gonna go Astros, Dodgers again.
Really?
Yeah, I hate saying it, but I just feel like it's. I like to make a change and make a difference, but I just feel like that's just what it's gonna be. The Dodgers are just so loaded. I do think the Mets have a great pitching staff, but just the Dodgers are loaded.
Well, we've seen, before, especially with the Yankees, you can have a loaded ass lineup and you can still lose.
Yeah.
Even though like the Dodgers, their pitching is all right. It's not what it used to be where they had like legit guys. Remember, Trevor Bauer's not there, but Trevor Bauer, he might as well just resign the fact that he might need to be kicked out of the league.
Yeah.
They got Kershaw, who's still there, but again, you really trusting Kershaw to stay healthy over a 162 game season? I don't think so. And typically, Kershaw likes to blow games in the playoffs, so I'm cool with that. And it happened. The only time that never happened for him because he had to play a shortened season. They do have Dustin May returning off injury, who's a solid pitcher for them. I don't know who else is on the rotation.
Hold on, I have it right here. So it says that
they got Walker Buehler, Urias. They added Andrew Haney. Andrew Haney's kind of playing meh. To be honest, that's probably the only negative spot of their rotation. And then their bullpen, I think it's all right, but it's not like what it used to be. That's why I think they can definitely have the edge over. I definitely think the Mets can have an edge over them, but we'll see. But you can go on.
No, that's really all I was saying. That I just think that the Dodgers and Astros again, even though it's just a plain pick, I just feel like this is gonna happen.
Now in terms of out of the matchup, I think who could win the World Series might just be the fandom kicking in, but I believe the Mets could win it all this year.
I believe the Dodgers, and I hate to say it.
Kill me if the Dodgers win.
Yeah, I agree. I hate them too.
The last thing I need to see is Dodger flags flying all over the place in California.
I don't need to deal with that over here in New England.
So, yeah, but that's our MLB 2022-2023 season predictions. Again, how we're going to handle the season. When opening week is over with, we'll do a whole recap of opening week. And then after every month of the season is over with, we will do kind of much of a power rankings video. Now in terms of how we're able to catch all these freaking games, again, when we're not busy, we'll catch as many games as we can. I think how we're going to split it up is I'll watch a select few games that I'm relegated to, and then maybe my co-host over here can watch certain dip games, unless it's like a legit prime time freaking game that it's like must watch. That will probably be the only game where we watch to like legit probably together, because we want to make sure we have at least updates on what's going on and stuff like that, and things like that. So it's like maybe 1 week I'd say, okay, I'll watch the freaking Dodgers, and then the next week, Matt can have the Dodgers all to himself and watch them and see how they do, and stuff like that.
I like that idea.
Now we can get a basic knowledge. We plan and we hope to watch at least every MLB team's games, even the really bad ones and stuff like that. But that's gonna have to be us like on like 3 different screens. I know I'll have to see if I can watch off my laptop, my phone, and my freaking TV at the same time. And then the MLB, they made it to where it's like pretty easy to stream for the MLB now, and stuff like that. So it'll be very interesting to see what's going to happen. Definitely excited for the MLB. Spring training's going on, so enjoy that. But other than that, we're going to get out here. If you guys like the video, leave a like. Put in the comment section your thoughts on our MLB predictions, as well as who do you got in the World Series, as well as hit the subscribe button to Camford 15 Talk Sports, where I not only talk MLB, but basketball and NFL news, even my favorite team, the Chicago Bears. I'm thinking of potentially covering the Angels as well, just singly away from just the typical MLB. I'll maybe think about doing that, but as long as they don't piss me off, we'll see. But there's no guarantees there. But if I do that whole Angel stuff, then that'll be a by series basis. I'm probably not going to do every game, barring only opening weekend. Other than that, I'll probably do a basis of series. You know what? Maybe I'll do weekly games and stuff like that. That means I have to watch Angels games 100%, but we'll see. But anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day and I'll change this video. Until then, guys, catch you guys on the next video. Until then, guys, peace.